Let's start back there with Brad. Brad, would you read the first 2 verses? Dave, read the next 2, and then we'll move up to EJ to read verse 5.
Now concerning the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous to me to write to you, for I know your willingness, about which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has stirred up the majority.
Yet I have sent the brethren, lest their boasting of you should be in vain. And in this respect that, as I said, you may be ready, lest if some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, should be ashamed of this confident boasting.
Verse 5.
Okay. Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren, that they would go before unto you, and make up the forehead of bounty, whereof ye had noticed before that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty and a matter of, how you say that, converting your, I can't pronounce that word.
All right, well, and you get a different version, and I'll clarify that in just a few moments, where he's basically talking about that we want to make sure that you want to give because you want to, not because you have to. And that's really what he's talking about in verse 5. Again, what's Paul dealing with here? He's talking about the idea that, look, you promised a year ago that you wanted to help the needy brethren. I've been bragging to other people on your behalf, and it has stirred them up. It's motivated them to give, which is wonderful. Now, we want to make sure that it's there, so we're going to send Titus and the other 2 brethren there ahead, and to make sure you have the funds ready, so you're not unprepared and feel like I just mentioned in verse 5, that, oh, no, we have to give, rather than we want to give. And we're going to be talking about that attitude when we get to verses 6 through 8 in just a few moments. You know, you guys have been spending the last couple of weeks talking about the need to give. That's what he was talking about in chapter 8, looking at these brethren that were poor and they gave beyond their abilities because they first gave themselves to the Lord. I'm going to be talking about it on the radio program today. Tony and I are going to be on there live and talk about what is it about religion that turns a lot of people off. And one of the things we're going to talk about is most religious groups are money hungry. It's like they're always asking for money, always asking for money. Do we do that? We don't do that. Was Paul trying to get the brethren here to try to get out there and get money from people?
No, he was just saying this is what you were born to do, and we just want to make sure you do it.
Right. This is not, as soon as you bring up the word money, people are going, oh, here we go. And I'm going to be talking about the radio program. Hey, that turns me off of religions too. People that are just money hungry. They just send your money, send your money, send your money. We don't want your money. No matter, we keep telling people, you want to sign up for a Bible course? It doesn't cost you anything. It shouldn't cost you anything to learn the Word of God. You want a DVD of the TV program? It's free. Where does the money come from to do those things? We studied it, right? We studied it in 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 1 and 2. The brethren lay by on the first day of the week. We give cheerfully, as we'll talk about in a moment. And you guys, I've mentioned this before, and I love it, and it's kind of encouraging. We were worshiping down in Florida, and other faithful Christians do the same thing. What does the man usually say when he gets up here and we're about to take up a collection? We're about to do that in about an hour or so. Okay.
For the members here at this location, if you want to give, you may, but it's an obligation for the members that are here.
Visitors have no obligation.
Right. So we're not soliciting funds from visitors. Okay. I like that. Because that's not what this is all about, right? It's an act of worship that we are going to do when we give for the work. And that's what we're talking about here. These brethren have been encouraged to follow through with helping the needy saints. And Paul is telling them here in verse 24 of the previous chapter, as it came to a close, by saying to them that show the proof of your love and of our boasting on your behalf. In other words, demonstrate it. What is love that's not demonstrated?
Doing nice things.
But what is love, Stacy, that is not demonstrated? It's not demonstrated. What is it? What's that?
It's not love.
It's just a word. It's just a word. Love without demonstration is just a word. It doesn't mean anything. You know, you tell your wife or your husband, I love you, I love you, I love you. You don't demonstrate it. It doesn't mean anything, okay? The proof of your love here. So what he's telling the brethren here, follow through now. It's, you know, it's great that you said, well, you know, we want to help. Isn't that a good thing? It's great, isn't it? When does it become just words? You know, you can sit there and promise all you want. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You know, and you can get a lot, and people do this a lot at work, you know, and, you know, you get friends. You have a lot of people that'll promise things and kind of get you excited about things. Really? You'll do this? Yeah, sure. And they never show. You know, words don't mean anything unless they're backed up with action. And that's basically what Paul's telling the brethren here. You know, before the churches demonstrate this, follow through with it. And of course, you and I know that that applies to so many areas of our Christian life. You tell God you love him, right? Then show it. Tell God you're interested in learning. Where's the effort? It's like the guy who's laying on the couch, you know. God, help me find a job, will you? Please, help me find a job. You're channel surfing. Get out! You know, you have to back it up. And so Paul, as he goes on, you guys just read it. I like what he does here in verse 9. Superfluous for me to write you about this. In other words, I really shouldn't have to say this. In other words, we'd say, this goes without saying for the ministering to the saints. He says, for I know your willingness in verse 2, about which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has stirred up the majority. I want to talk about that because two things we do when we go through this study. Let's understand the context. Let's understand what Paul is trying to get across here, and let's see what we can apply today. So first of all, we understand in its context, hey, I bragged on you to other people, and they said, wow, man, they're going to give. We want to help them out too. That's a good thing. Can you guys tell me areas of your life where you can demonstrate zeal that will be infectious and it will stir other people up? Give me some areas that you might become infectious. You might stir other people because of your zeal. In what areas? Give me an example. Jane?
First thing I think of is in the family. The example of the parents.
All right. And I've seen it, Gene. I've heard members. I've been in Bible studies and members will go, man, I really like the way brother and sister so-and-so are doing so well with their children. It impressed them, okay? And it's kind of like motivating them. You know, if I get married, you know, I want to be like them. And so that'll stir that up, you know. That's a great example. Can you think of other areas, guys? And there's a lot of them. Mark, give me one.
Have a younger person have the zeal to study the Bible and present that knowledge. For me, it would give me zeal because he may be years younger and have that zeal, and it flows off like a new convert may have the zeal of studying. We don't want to, you know, put that fire out and get that might fire up other souls.
Absolutely. When people observe your desire, your interest in learning, it fires other people up. They look at you and you, man, you're really interested in this stuff. I can remember years ago when I was up in Canada, a small congregation in my hometown, and this young guy came in, probably 19, 20 years old, and he was just like, I want to learn. And he kept asking 1,000 questions. Man, it got everybody fired up. And that's what you want. You want to be infectious that way. As he talks about here, he says, your zeal has stirred up the majority. In other words, we're talking about the minority stirring up the majority. And so we don't have to sit there and say, well, I'll get fired up if everybody else gets fired up. Well, no. You get fired up. And what that does, it gets other people. And so your interest in these areas that we're talking about here can help other people. There are so many folks, and I really don't want to spend all morning on this, but can you think of other areas where you can be infectious and where you should be? Jen?
Oh, a Bible class teacher.
Okay. That's it. And when the desire to teach, okay. He signed up and I used it. Jesse, I don't know if you knew this, but I was trying to use you from this passage here when I said, Jesse, and we were in the library, I said, Jesse signed up. He wanted to do a sermon because he wanted to push himself to do stuff. And I would mention that from the pulpit because, yes, I wasn't trying to put a guilt trip on anybody, but I was trying to get them to think, oh man, if Jesse hasn't done this before and he's pushing himself, okay, I guess I can do that too. And I've mentioned the same thing. I'll say, look at the list back there. You can sign up for a one Sunday night a month. We provide a slot there for anybody that wants to get up, the men here, to preach a lesson. And I'll mention, well, boy, we got a lot of gaps there. Oh, TJ's filled in his spot. We'll say that. But it's trying to motivate, again, not to make people feel bad. And that's what he's talking about here. You have to have zeal in loving God and wanting to serve Him. People see your kindness. They see your warmth. I tell you, nothing can be more infectious than for members to walk in here and say, wow, look at that. I think Gina shook everybody's hand this morning. I need to do that. I need to go around and visit with people. Or not just picking on you, Gene, but I'm just saying, your example of what you're doing, people notice. That's a good thing. And Gene? Right. It really does. It encourages them, absolutely. And the encouragement that they would receive. Not that we're going out of the way to mention that to this. But the point is, you want to make people feel comfortable, right? But you need to understand, we're kind of being selfish. What do you mean? Well, if we're making you feel good, and you feel good, now I feel good, so you're helping me. So in other words, we're doing this to help ourselves. And that's really what we talked about earlier about the giving. Remember, he talked about that in chapter 8. He talked about, you're giving, but everything equals out. Well, what do you mean? I have, he doesn't, I give to him. There's equality? Yeah, because you need to have an opportunity to give, and this person has provided you with the opportunity for you to give to him. So you need to be thankful that you have an opportunity to give. Wow, never looked at it that way. And that's what Paul's talking about. We're all recipients. The zeal here, he's telling the brethren, remember, don't lose focus of this. Your zeal has stirred them up. Now, I'm trying to focus on the them right now with my examples, but I'm wanting us to see the Corinthian brethren. Paul's complimenting them. You're zealous. Now follow through with this, because it's infectious. Look what he says in verse 3. He says, yet I have sent the brethren. Who was that? Well, it's Titus and the other two brethren, that we talked about last week. So these faithful men, they're going to come to you. I have sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain. Vain means what? Useless. We don't want that to happen. In this respect, that I said, you may be ready. Well, that's going to make... Have you ever been in that situation? Where you are 100% sure, you told somebody, well, go there, they'll be what, and they're not there. And that kind of makes you look bad, doesn't it? And it's kind of like, when I sit down and I study with people, you got a family coming. I'm on the phone. Tim's been on the phone, but I've been on the phone with this couple that are moving here from Denver. And they're going to be here next Sunday. Hate that I'm going to be out of town that meeting. But they're coming in, and they're asking, she's asking, and I was talking to husband Brian, Denise, Brian and Denise. You'll remember those names, okay? Oh, are you Brian? You Denise? No? Okay, let's look for them. Now, when they come, they're asking all these questions, but we're telling them about the church. So come on. We just love one of TJ mentioned in his prayer that we have this love for one another, we care for one another. So what if they come and they go back home because they're checking out the area, and I call them and say, how'd things go? Man, nobody talked. Man, I bragged on you guys. There's that point, right? There's what he's talking about. Don't let me down. We've been bragging on you. We've been bragging on you. And so you really want that, right? Which is kind of cool. So that was an underlining point that I wanted to make, that they've come from me. But it does tie into this. And so he says he wants you to be ready. That's it. You had the willingness. It's superfluous for me to say this because I know you know this, but I'm just emphasizing what he's saying. Look at verse 4. Lest if some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared. Oh, yikes. Paul, isn't this the group you told me? They're ready to help. They're there. And they're not prepared, Paul. Man, it can make Paul look bad. But Paul he's not so selfish about this. Because in the next few verses, if you had a chance to read the chapter, let's not lose sight of the big picture here. The focus is God. Your zeal stirred their zeal. Everybody's giving. They're helping the needy. But in the latter part of this chapter, it's all about God getting the glory. It's not about you. Now that's a byproduct. That's the benefit, right? It's like here, it's not about us coming here today. It's about worshiping God. He gets the glory. We're doing everything for Him. But don't we get anything out of this? Of course we do. Our faith is being increased. Our relationship with each other is increasing. That's a wonderful thing. But it's all about the Lord. And if you remove Him from the equation, we're going to get in trouble. So that's what he says here in verse 4. Lest if some Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, should be ashamed of this confident boasting. Oh man, we're bragging on you guys. We're confident. I want to be confident, right? In the things that I believe. And you want to have confidence in me, and I want to have confidence in you. And I'll tell you this much. Again, confidence, just the word, unless it's demonstrated, okay? And so you and I, we're mindful of our duties and what's expected out of us because we talk about each other in a nice way. I had that sermon before. We need more talking behind one another's back. The good stuff, not the bad stuff, the good stuff. Now look, he said in verse 5. Therefore, because of all these things I just mentioned, I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren to go to you ahead of time and prepare your generous gift before Him, which you have previously promised, that it may be ready as a matter of generosity and not as a grudging obligation. You can see how the appearance might be, right? When you're unprepared. I mean, it gives the appearance that, okay, it's not that I wanted to do this. I'm like giving it grudgingly. This is why when we give, how do we give on Sunday? And, in an hour when we're, as members here of this local congregation, the work that we're doing, how do we give? Okay? Okay, give as we've been prosperous. How else do we give? With purpose. Okay. Okay. Cheerfully, yes. And I want to talk more about that, Mark. Right? And let's not forget the idea, the whole thing that he's been dealing with in this is the one point I was trying to get you guys to say, purpose. Purpose. Now, if you purposed in your heart, what did that mean? Planned on it. It wasn't a last minute thought or the furthest thing from your mind. I got up to worship God. I don't always do this, and I'm going to come back and tell you that I'm not perfect in many ways, but in this particular illustration. So last night we get in late, and so what I want to do, I wanted to sit down and I wanted to write the check last night. So I did. On the purpose, I want to plan. I don't want to forget. So I just, wrote the check, put it on top of my Bible, on my sermons. Man, you're not leaving the house without your Bible and your sermons. You're going to come here. So there it was. But 3 weeks ago, with all the things that were going on with the gospel meeting, remember we had the gospel meeting? We missed the latter part because we had to go off because of death in the family. But I sat there. We had company. We were out of our routine. I sat there and I went to Debbie. I went, I had purposed but I forgot. I'm just saying, I understand that, we make mistakes. So don't misunderstand me. But he is talking about here that we give it thought. Aside from all the other points you guys mentioned, we planned on it. We knew that it was expected out of us. And I'll show you the kind of attitude God wants us to have within all of this. Let's go ahead and read. Well, last one to read. So let's move up. Nancy, read verse 6 and 7.
But this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. And he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God's love.
Okay. And there's more that he talks about, but we'll read the rest of the chapter in a moment. It is a short chapter. So look what he talks about here. This I say, he who sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will reap bountifully. Oh boy, do we have to spend time on this. Boy. Because there is popular preaching going on in the TVs and the radio waves. And what is that preaching? There you go. Prosperity. That's what it's all about. And I see it on the TVs. See that number. Send your love gift and God will bless you with more than you can handle. Really? That's better than the lottery. Just give and God's going to bless you with that much more. Is that what he's talking about here? And we might be thinking, sure looks like it. That's not what he's talking about here. Because when you talk about this idea of giving, Dave mentioned a point a moment ago. When I asked you guys, how are we to give? Does anybody remember the one that he mentioned? Sorry, Dave. Which one did he mention? Give as you've been prosperous. So, not this so, but so. If we have somebody here who's lost his job, can't give. Does God expect him to give what he doesn't have? Doesn't he expect him to give what he doesn't? So this poor guy, he can't receive any of the blessings here. He can't. Or maybe he can't give as much as he'd like to. It's so little in comparison. But, there are people here. So are we saying that if one of the members here gives $300 and one of the members here gives $3, is one of them more blessed in the eyes of God than the other? Yes, that's true. But with my illustration, I want to just make it seem, because I really want to draw some more points out of this, that if they both gave with that cheerfulness, that right attitude, I can afford this, and I want to give the $300. Well, I can afford $3. Here you go. Does this verse here in verse 7 apply to both of them? It absolutely does. See? Yeah, it's more than just the giving, Gene, because what he's talking about is that when you actually give, what are you getting out of that? What are you getting out of it, guys, when you give? You don't get anything? What's that? Is there joy? Yeah, you're giving joy. I mean, it is something, I have been supported by brethren for 35 years. There's a few gaps. Oh, no, actually, all my 35 years. Because even when I was not getting outside support, brethren sending to me, even locally, the brethren were supporting, right? So I'm getting that. But I can remember visiting brethren that have supported me, let's say, for 17 years. And I go to that congregation, I visit with them, and they say, hey, I'm finally putting a face to the guy that, and I go, you've been supporting me for 17 years. And the person went, yeah, I guess that's right. And they kind of, when you understand the things that you're doing here, when we give and the things that we're able to accomplish, that's why the efforts that we put forth with the TV and the broadcast on our website and the radio, whose work is that? It must be Chuck's work. It is not. People think, oh, Chuck, it's just you. It's not. It's our work. We're working.
who gets the glory? It's the gospel being preached, right? This is what's in the forefront. It's not with me. Hey, I'm glad you got to see me. No, that's you preach the gospel. And so the joy, and Dean was talking about this, so when we give, there is a joy. See, God loves a cheerful giver. Well, who's cheerful in giving money away? Who's actually cheerful in doing that? Are you cheerful in giving money away when you get a ticket to a sporting event? No, seriously. Is there joy when you're giving money to get a ticket to go to a sporting event? Yeah, there's joy. Why? Because I want to go. You're getting something for that, right? Right. Right. That's it. That's it. I think that's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. That illustration is perfect because, you shell out money for a steak dinner, you're not getting money back, are you? So you shovel that, you put that money out, you eat the meal. Now what do you have? Now you, for a time, and then it's gone, right? It's gone. It's temporary. And see, there's the joy, right? The joy in giving to the Lord. That's what He wants. And so we're going to reap bountifully. I'm telling you, if you give $3, you give that grudgingly, you just made your life miserable. But a person who's got a smile on his face gives that $3, man, that just made it. I'm just glad I was able to give to the Lord today. I'm thankful for that. Imagine that, being thankful for the opportunity to give. I remember years ago giving an illustration. What if you had to pay to come to service? What? Yeah, at the door. $50 to get in. $50 to get in just to worship God? Yeah. And when you get in there, then we're going to take up a collection. What? I got to pay to go pay? But wait a second. Would we think that is a blessing? Like, hey man, yeah, I'll pay $50 to go give to the Lord any day. I'll do that. I want to give to the Lord. There's genuine joy. Now look, we don't have to pay to get in. But I'm just trying to show you that our attitude, the joy there that we get from giving to the Lord, and it irritates me. And I'll mention that on the radio program because I did a TV program on it last week, 2 weeks ago, because the lady was going through the channel. I told you about that. She heard me say, "Are you fed up with religions?" And she heard that, and so she stopped me. So she wanted the Bible quote. Because I said, yeah, if you're fed up with it, I am too. If those that are money hungry. It's not about that, is it? That's not what I'm learning here. It's not about that. It's about a person who's going to purpose in his heart, a person who is going to sow bountifully is what he's talking about here, and he's going to reap bountifully. Sow bountifully. Whether it's $3 or $300 or $3,000, the point is you're sowing bountifully, and you're going to reap that. What joy. And I got news for you. A person that's never been to a ball game, and it's a World Series, and he paid $5 and he's up in nosebleed territory. He's just as thrilled as the guy down there, that's got season tickets and he's right on the front row. He's thrilled, right? The kid is thrilled just to be there. It's not the amount. Now, am I saying then, with what we're studying here, am I saying then that God says, hey everybody, give $3? That's the point. And that's what we studied it in 1 Corinthians chapter 16. There's something seriously wrong. The person says, well, Chuck, I gave the $3 cheerfully. I really didn't. I purposed $3, but you make $5,000 a day. But I was happy giving that. See, there's more to it than that. TJ? Right. I like that. Because to me, if I'm the guy who can only give $3, what's my attitude? I would give more if I could, right? That's my attitude. I'd give more if I could. And so we're always trying to do that. We're trying to give bountifully because we see the great work. There's just so much work to be done, and we get excited about it. Dave. That's right. You know, she gave her all. Okay, and again, it's that attitude. So let each one look what he says here, verse 7. Let each one of you, each one, give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. Now, please keep in mind, you know, we go verse by verse with this. We go slow. It's probably been, 3 weeks since we read chapter 8 and verse 12. Remember, we've got to remind ourselves of this. Chapter 8 and verse 12 says, for if there's first a willing mind, it is accepted according to what one has and not according to what he does not have. We've heard the term pay it forward. Jane, have you ever had people, you talk about students? I can remember when I was a student, I can remember people having me in their home, and I just felt guilty all the time. I said, man, you guys always have me over. You know what they said? They said, when you grow up, pay it forward. You can do it for others, right? And so you've had people over the years, grow up, they get married, they have kids, and then they're being generous to others too. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And we don't want, and we should learn from that because pride gets in the way. You see, in all of this, I'm sure the brethren who were in need didn't say, no, we don't want you. No, they were hungry. They needed food. But you know, pride can get in the way of people who are able to help. No, I don't want your help. Well, you got to let me, because now if I can help and you need help and you don't ask for it and I don't give it to you, we're both losers. We really. Well, wait a minute, Chuck. I think you're the winner. You get to keep your money. You're winning. You need to thank that guy for not asking. No. The point is, you both get a blessing from it. And pride, I'm telling you, it's a powerful point, Jane. I tell you, there are people who would just say, I won't do that. Now, I'll help other people, but I'm not asking for help. And that's just not the way it's supposed to be. Mark? Yeah, and we need to be humble. I'll be honest with you. We need to be humble in that respect. And so he talks about this. Give as you purpose in your heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. What if you give, but if you're not cheerful? You've given them. Are you trying to tell me that if I give $300 and I didn't want to give $300, is it better if I didn't give $300? God would have been pleased with that? So he wouldn't be pleased if I gave it and I didn't like it, and he wouldn't be pleased if I kept it and didn't give anything. So if God's not pleased with either of those situations, what's the other option? Give cheerfully. No, that's a command. Now, if a person says, Chuck, it's like, do I have to worship? Right? Hebrews 10:25. Don't forsake the assembly of yourself. Person says, well, Chuck, if I go there, I feel like I'm a hypocrite. I don't want to be there. If a person's here and doesn't want to be there, is it doing them any good? No. So are they better off not here? No. We got two no's here. So how do we fix it? Yeah, you have to want to be here. And I'll tell you, we're talking about symptoms here. And to have to want to be here, if a person's like that and says, Chuck, I have a problem with giving, we need to sit down, we need to have a Bible study, we need to overcome those things. You need to learn. Kind of ties into my sermon this morning. When we have that proper attitude, and we have to work on that. And so, yeah, the solution is not to give if we didn't want to. The solution is to fix that. Why would I want to give? And Paul's talking about this here, right? Why would these brethren, we didn't even get into that, did we, in our study? He says, you purposed a year ago. Why did they even purpose a year ago to help these brethren? Do you think about that? Why did they even want to do that? Why would anybody want to do that? Why would they want to do that? They want to serve. God's in the picture again. You take God out of the picture, your relationship with the Lord, it's easy not to do things. It's easy not to follow through things. It's easy not to be motivated. Everything, isn't it, DJ? I mean, the whole point is, when you stop losing focus on God, and whether we're talking about giving or just any act of worship, if you lose focus on God, what happens to worship when you lose focus on God? Yeah, but tell me some of the things that are going on in the world today. What happens when you remove God from the focus? God's there, but He's not the focus. Who becomes the focus? Man becomes the focus in the worship. And so what happens to worship then? Man, it becomes a production. I mean, you talk about entertainment. You talk about, just all the fleshly things that we can draw people in. Cake and ice cream. You walked in the building this morning. Where was the coffee? Where was the coffee? At home. See? $5 million. That's right. We knew where you were coming from. What's lost? God is lost. The focus needs to be on Him. I keep forgetting what time. We're good. Vincent, then Dave. Vincent. We're dealing with that today because we're going to be talking about one of the first things that turns people off of religion today is their appeal for money, 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 money. And we're going to go to this passage and explain what it really means and tell people out there that's not what it's all about. And, just try to get people. There are people out there, I think, that would come to the truth if they just knew that there are people out there that are actually doing the right thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. Dave, what were you going to say? Well, that's it. And then these are, and as Paul put it, that abound to our account. In other words, that we are abounding in the work of our Lord. Too much focus on that. We just need to be focusing on God. And when you do that, and that's what he's doing here, because in all this conversation, you notice the last line in verse 7 was, God loves a cheerful giver. Here's what you need to do. Follow through with this. Do this. I've been boasting about you. Your zeal has encouraged other people. You're purposing your heart. And don't give grudgingly. Give this way. For God loves the cheerful. It's all about God. Don't do it for me. It sounds like, brother, please, don't embarrass me. Please, when they come, have that money ready. I mean, if I bring some of these brethren, they go, I'm going to look bad. God loves the church. And that's why in chapter 8, in the first 5 verses, he talked about those people that were able to give beyond their ability because they first gave themselves to the Lord. That's all we're talking about here. Not, you didn't give yourself to the church. We're not converting anybody to the church. You convert them to Christ. Not convert anybody to me. You're an individual. You're to be a Christian. You're to be Christ-like. And you have that relationship with the Lord. And because you have that relationship with the Lord, it is demonstrated in so many different ways. And this particular passage is dealing with the area of giving. Verse 8 says, "And God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you always, having all sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance for every good work." And that's the whole point, is that God has created you with the ability to do the things that He wants you to do. Oh, that means I'm going to get this great job. What are you talking about? You are able, with whatever capacity you have right now, as long as you put the Lord first and you do what you can, He says here, He's able to make grace abound toward you. Because of your attitude, your disposition of wanting to do. I love that. When you have people who just say, I want to do what I can. Remember, I told you a long time ago, this new convert. She was a new convert up in Toronto. This Chinese girl. She just becomes a Christian, and she comes to me. She says, "Chuck, what can I do to help my brothers and sisters?" Man, it just melted my heart. Hey, let other people help you right now. No, the best thing to help her grow is to think about others. Guys, we're done. Lord willing, next week we'll pick up on verse 8 and 9 in that area. Well, I won't. Be in Kentucky in the meeting. We'll have to pick it up. But then we'll get back to a routine, and I'm not going anywhere for a long time. Lord willing.